What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining us for another episode of Bad Publicity. Today we're going to walk through our first impressions of the WASP pack. We're going to solve the biggest riddle that we have is how come it's not hope?
Oh, is that the biggest riddle?
Yeah, I think so.
No.
I mean, don't you want to cash in on that MCU money?
Hey man, you gotta show variety.
That MCU money.
You gotta show variety, right? You gotta show that you can come in from different angles.
Nadia, and yes, you are seeing it right. This is a new hat. Let's get right into things. I don't think there's anything else to kind of to set this up.
Yeah. Other than FOG released an article with some WASP cards in it. New Cycle 2 hero that partners up with Ant-Man, so we're going to chat about them.
Yeah, so this is just our first impressions as we go through the adventures and excitement that is all things WASP.
Not the band.
Not the band. Do you think anyone watching knows anything by WASP?
You know what? There's gonna be one person out there who's gonna get that, and that was just for you.
Yeah. Like hopefully we get at least one like out of that.
Yeah.
You know? All right. So let's talk about Miss Van Dyne. She has 3 recovery, a hand size of 6, and hit points are 11. She's genius. Whoa.
Keywords.
GIRL. I know. I feel like if I was in this game now, when Michael puts me in here somewhere, I'll have the genius trademark, right? GIRL is an action. Shuffle up to 2 cards with a printed science resource from your discard pile into your deck. Limit once per round. I think that's a really good power. I'm really super pumped for this and to play around with this ability, because there is usually no good ways to pull cards back from the discard yet. I mean, and there's no great search cards, right? So I think this is great. Because especially in those, harder, crazier games when your stack's getting down and you want to, pump 2 cards in because you don't want to take the extra card. You don't want to disappoint the team.
Let them down. Really let them run down.
Right, but I think from this perspective, I think it's really good. I mean, 3 recovery is pretty standard, and everything else is pretty standard from my perspective. And this little Spider-Man on the corner of the desk, I mean, that's kind of cool hidden there, right? But other than that, I think this is a great alter ego. Over to you, Corey. Top that.
Sure, I'll see what I can do. So as a whole, her stat line's pretty good. 6 hand size is a little so, because usually you expect to see like a little bit better on the alter ego side, and 11 hit points. So you gotta be a little careful. You gotta hone it, but that's where the trade-off, I guess, for ability to be able to recycle those mental resource cards and everything really helps out. I like the ability. I think the ability is pretty strong. They did kind of say in the article how a lot of her like really key cards will focus on that resource. She'll be able to recycle them, and there's some pretty interesting play you can get with this. It helps protect you a little bit against like mill and discard effects, because if it gets rid of something you only have like a 1 or 2 of in your deck, you can use her ability to shuffle it back in. And then to reinforce what Jameson said, it also helps to slow down how quickly you'll empty your deck out before you have to reshuffle and then put the +1 counter and everything on the main scheme. So it's a pretty cool ability.
Yeah.
I think it also kind of opens up some interesting deck building ideas, because if you think about some of the aspects, right, that because she comes as an aggression character, which is something I don't know if we mentioned yet. Is how they're going to prepackage her. And a lot of times you see these aggression cards with these mental symbols. You're like, Why does this have this symbol on it? Well, hey, guess what? Now it makes sense, or you can at least benefit from it because you can pull and cycle like these cards back. So that probably opens up some cool like deck building ideas of looking through those symbols on the cards and finding out like what things you may have overlooked initially, or you didn't realize had this icon on it, for you to benefit off her ability. How's that? Is that a pretty good retort?
Yeah. You kind of ran that down pretty good there.
Thanks.
You know, and we've seen this mechanic before, and it was very crucial inside the Black Panther builds. So, you know, for me, someone who does primarily play a lot of Panther, I'm really excited to see it copy over into another hero to get the pieces back. And yeah, unfortunately, you know, you do look at something like this when it's specifically calling out, you know, a subset of the cards or of your card pool. So, you know, you are going to have to look at that when you are crafting the deck to be able to get full use out of it. I mean, obviously, if you built some deck and all your favorite cards are not, you know, this type of resource, well, now you have an alter ego with no power. But
the good news is she can target your whole discard pile, so you don't have to do everything on that. Like, it probably won't take much work to be able to at least always give yourself 2 cards.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be something, but I'm just saying, like, as the game grows, you know, you're going to have choices. So
absolutely.
But solid alter ego.
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad.
Yeah. Getting into her hero form, the tiny hero form. This is 1 thwart, 1 attack, 2 defense. The hand size does drop to 5 in tiny form. Can't hold as many cards there, Corey, I guess. Yeah. Small but mighty, and this is a response that after WASP or an event you play defeats a minion or side scheme, deal 1 damage to the villain. To me, this kind of emphasizes that she's probably going to play more of that supporting role rather than, you know, the main role in larger groups. I mean, and this is also going to be interesting to see when the rest of her card set flushes out how she will run this game solo. Solo aspect, I think, is something that we'd love to be able to consider more. I mean, I'm not a huge solo gamer. I've kind of play 1 or 2 kind of pieces to it. Yeah.
I do solo on this a lot.
Right.
So.
But I mean, I was really surprised that I did a lot of reading up this last few weeks, catching up on all the community news and the blogs and stuff like that. And there is a lot of people that play this game solo. I mean, there was a big, you know, a little bit of an outcry about how difficult the Hulk is to play solo. And I mean, people were waiting for that Hulk builds and stuff like that. But, you know, it's something like this. It's going to be interesting to see how you know, the WASP can play solo, especially as we talk about later on when we get to a special card that has the team up mechanic. So we'll see. There was some, you know, people, the internet is not or is quick to pass judgment and put your opinion out there so you can be right, you can be first, get it out there. But this is I think a great kind of hero for someone like me that kind of likes to come in there, play that the back line, get myself set up a little bit, look for some of my equipment, get my pieces in check, and also be able to kind of take off and support and, you know, the board state or the play area state where I am able to contribute. Hey, all I got to do is you know, attack a couple minions and or take out some work on the side scheme, and now I can deal damage as well to the villain. I think that's really cool. I don't know how much action you're going to be doing on a side scheme with 1 thwart, but hey.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing about this is that her ability is not a limit once per turn trigger. So as many times you're able to trigger it, you can trigger it. And the cool thing is it's not just WASP that triggers it, it's also an event you play. So if you have, like, what is it? So I think if you have like an event that's like a sweeper and it takes out like a handful of minions, you know, you can get a trigger off of that. If you play like an event that'll help like thwart the last bit off a scheme, you can trigger off of that, and then she can thwart another one and trigger off of that. It gives you interesting play because it's not a limit, and it also works off her events. Sorry, I want to go back and add something real fast too. Just in case those who may not be familiar, if this is your first one, you didn't watch the Ant-Man one yet, it is important to note that the WASP is another one of those heroes that has different forms. So she's not just going to have a hero and an alter ego. She'll have a hero, and then she'll have a tiny and then a giant form. So her card will actually like fold.
Do you want to get to the like? Do you have more stuff to say about the giant?
We went on a whole spiel on the cards in the Ant-Man video. So if you want to watch, like if you haven't watched it yet, please check it out. Lots of good stuff in there. But it's a really cool card mechanic.
If we were more professional, we'd tell you that the link is up on the screen in the corner or in the description below. But in reality, you're just gonna have to go back and find that manually.
Yeah,
we don't.
It shouldn't be hard though, because it's literally the video just before this one.
Yes.
So,
you know how we roll here on Bad Publicity. Everything live, nothing edited. That's how we drop this.
Yeah.
So
just be aware so she has an extra hero form compared to more of the traditional heroes and stuff that you've seen in the game so far. So because that's gonna make sense, because the next card we're gonna go into is...
Oh wait, I wasn't ready for that throw. We're live. Hey, the next card we're going into is the WASP.
Again, but this time giant form.
Giant form. So hero. This is where she gets a little more bang for her buck, where we're going 2 thwart, 2 attack, 3 defense. What are these caveat stars here, you might ask? So threat you remove using a basic thwart power can be divided among schemes as you choose. Interesting. Damage you deal using your basic attack power can be divided among enemies as you choose. Hand size is still 5 though. That's weird to me.
So as we looked at like the Ant-Man, whose hand size adjusted in all the different forms, Wasp only 6, and then she stays 5/5.
Is that a balance tactic rather than a theming stuff?
I think so. But her stat line's pretty good. I mean, 2, 2, and 3. That's pretty. You know, that's a good stat line. The extra defense, but I think the ability and the flexibility is pretty cool. I think immediately that gives you the idea, right, of you want to try to play with buffers or play more with those cards that'll enhance your base statistics, so you can get more benefit out of the triggers and stuff in her giant form. But sometimes that's good, right? You know, how many times have you come into a situation where you've had like 1 left on the scheme, and you've just been like, I don't want to waste this whole action to remove 1 threat from this. So she gives you that flexibility of you can like tack 1 over there and still use your excess to kind of progress something else. Or if you have like the minions, you have a couple of them, you can put some damage on 1, or put like a damage to help your buddy out, to finish off it in and still put some damage on someone in front of you. It's some cool variety. It's an interesting way to play, to think about.
So let's look at this and question and break down some of this a bit, Corey, here, just for discussion purposes, because that's what we do here. Discuss. Using your basic thwart power. Now, basic thwart power, is that the stuff printed on the card? Like, what's your definition of basic thwart power? Can I boost my basic thwart power, but then is it not so basic anymore?
So I think it's my interpretation, and I could be wrong, is that it's just when you take the action thwart or attack, like with Wasp, it's just using the stat, but your stats can get buffed. Like if you look at something like combat training, it actually like gives you a +1, I believe, like to your thwart statistic, or to your attack statistic. So I believe that would interact and work with the card.
So that's how
if it was just limited to just the printed 2, I don't think this ability is that great.
No. Yeah.
I think you need to have a way. It needs to give you something to deck build towards, and like you can work and increase it to get a little bit more action. Like I don't think the ability is amazing at all. Not to say that it's bad. I think it's a cool ability. I don't think it's like off the wall nuts, the craziest like hero thing, but I think it's a cool ability. And if you like to play that balanced play style that Jameson mentioned a little bit on the tiny form, it plays into that, right? If she kind of can crowd control, she can kind of help maintain and keep some schemes in check. She's got a very balanced looking play style about her.
So I would have to say that I'm like, I think I'm more drawn to the WASP so far from what I'm seeing compared to Ant-Man. As I alluded to before, I really like the play style that she's bringing to the table. Being able to do a little bit of thematic buildup of my tableau, getting my equipment, getting my cards down, getting my pieces, still being able to contribute, and then being that guy that that can kind of help out, or in this case that girl that can help out by not having to let my other more powerful heroes or focused heroes, like if you're focused on thwarting or if you're focused on villain control, not having them use up their turns or their cards dealing with those layers of minions that could be coming out. And I will also say that I read it that way too, that a basic thwart power is just using your hero card and saying I'm thwarting, and thwarting for whatever my stat value is, even if it is adjusted. And now what I really, really like is if it is that way, because I do love those booster cards. I play with those cards that adjust the values of my thwart, attack, defense, and recovery that we've seen. So I really, really like what she brings to the table, because Corey, you talked about it too, where I don't know if my voice just cracked.
True.
The excitement is real. You talked about it too, where in those situations where you have one, threat left on something, but something else is like, piled up, or there's some other stuff here, like one's just about to pop, but you got to deal with this thing over here because it's giving you acceleration tokens or extra cards and whatnots. And to be able to look and spread that out, or to even be able to boost your attack and spread that out, right? I think this is so powerful. And she could be creeping up to one of, I think, my favorite, or she has potential to be one of my favorite heroes going in from kind of like a building an artillery deck to complement this style, and especially the fact that it's building it to complement two hero abilities and an alter ego ability. I think this is just rolling into my,
your wheelhouse.
Yeah, really.
I can see that. I do say one thing I do really appreciate about the ability is, again, it's flexible, because a lot of times you'll see hero abilities that kind of lean towards this is what it's good at. Or like, this is a really good for boosting my combat, or really good for boosting my thwarting, or really good for dealing with minions specifically. This one feels like it gives you variety, because she could use the attack to deal with minions, to spread, but she also has the ability to use her thwart to spread out on schemes. Like, it's dual purpose. She's got both angles she can kind of attack from, which is pretty sweet.
But with the ability to control the state of the board and to control the tableau that's in front of us, I think she could. Like people were worried about the team up mechanic that we're talking about before, about the ability to play solo. I mean, we talked a little bit there before, but I will say that I think you look at something like this, and this may be a perfect solo thing to do, because you're able to work so much. I think that what you're going to be able to do in a turn is just create incredible value.
Well, let's check out some of her cards.
Okay, great idea.
Oh, Hey, what's this?
Giant help. A 2-cost event. Oh, what's this little symbol down here? That'll trigger off something.
Weird.
Hero action. Thwart. Remove 3 threat from a scheme. Why do I have to read these cards?
You want me to do it?
No, I'm already halfway through. Remove 3 threat from a scheme. Remove a total of 4 threat divided among schemes as you choose instead if you are in giant form. You talk about it first, though.
Cool. Well, you take care of it. So this is a pretty cool card. It's of course it's very focused on the threat, but if you think about it gives you some good benefits on either side, right? If you're in giant form, you can divide it up. You get 4, and you can pull out. You can remove like a bunch of the small like minor schemes, or do a chunk or a little in this like ability. Tiny form, it's a hero action. So if you remove all the threat off a scheme, it'll trigger her ability and deal damage to the villain. So it's got some neat like dual purpose. And 2 cost to potentially remove 4 threat is a good trade. A lot of times you'll be more than happy to take that exchange, because moving threat in chunks like that is most of the time incredibly helpful. And to have this in her toolkit as a hero card is not a bad thing. Not a bad thing to have. So I think it's a good utility card.
Yeah. I mean, something else we can talk about too from an impression stuff here. We know that this is card number 2 because signature ally will be Ant-Man.
As I mentioned in the article.
To get that team up. I mean, that's already been released. But yeah, so I mean, this is a card that you could potentially, grab and recur with
her alter ego ability.
Pinpoint Strike. Great.
You want me to take this one?
Yeah, you can go for this one. But
okay.
This again. So here, right? Also a card that we can recur. I hope we have. You read it first, and then we'll say.
Sure. So Pinpoint Strike is a 3-cost event. Attack. Hero action. Deals 7 damage to an enemy. If you are in tiny hero form, this attack deals 1 additional damage to the enemy and gains overkill. I really like this card. I think it plays into as they described in the article.
That's an understatement.
Yeah.
This card is insane.
Plays into the style of her like bobbing and weaving and preparing and then doing like a vicious, like attack or whatever. But 1, you can recur this, nuts. 3 cost is fine for an attack that can deal potentially 8 damage and overkill through a minion. That's pretty solid. All you do is tiny form, and tiny form means that, overkills and kills. Triggers her ability again, and hey, you can get an extra point of damage off of it. Mm-hmm. So if you have like a minion sitting at 1 health, you overkill through it with Endpoint Strike in tiny form. The 1 health you assign to the minion, you effectively get back in the response trigger on her tiny form hero.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely playing into a powerful combo. I got nothing to add to that, Corey. I think this is super awesome card. I guess the only thing to talk about here is 1 or 2. What is this? Is this too powerful? Do you think they'll give us multiple copies of this?
So it does. You do have to be in tiny form specifically to do it, to get the bonus and the overkill. I mean, still just a 3-cost 7 damage to an enemy is still pretty good. It's on the 4 slot. I think it could. It could be a 2 of.
You're judging by the position in the deck already?
I know. It could be a 2 of, but you're right. With the ability to recur it, I could see them doing it as a 1 of and giving you a variety of tools, and then you just recur them as needed. But I think it would be fine, because if you look at her stat line or her health, her having like multiples of like a really hard-hitting swing seems fine, because she doesn't have the durability, and her base stats aren't the best. Like in tiny form, she's a 1/1/2, right? So yeah, it could get away as being a 2 of, but we'll see. We'll see what they do. That's just guessing and see what happens.
I think we'll see too.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be crucial to her, and playing in the forms. But paying 3 for 7 damage, even if you can't get the tiny form, I think it's still incredible.
It's a good rate.
Yeah.
It's a lot of damage.
Yeah, huge. Huge.
All right.
Buffalo.
So next we're going to go over some of the other cards in her pack. They're not WASP specific, but they're some of the aggression cards. I think there's a neutral we're going to have thrown in there as well.
Yeah.
That they spoiled in the article. So what do we have coming up first?
Okay, so I'll talk about the fact too that I think where they get in and describe her, and they talk about how she plays, and you're gonna, like you said, right? You're setting up for those precision kind of attacks, and you're bobbing and weaving, or whatever terminology you threw out there.
Words.
Yeah, words. How do we? I'm very surprised, and I'm excited to see the rest of the suite and the pre-build for this, because I do not picture an aggression build here. All
Yeah.
right?
Well, what's cool about it is, as I mentioned, her giant ability and even her base ability all both trigger off taking out a minion or removing a scheme. So it looks like you have different ways you can build her with different aspects, because she has different ways of triggering. So it's pretty cool. So that I do appreciate. I think that's neat.
Yeah, but still, I mean, I could see maybe some of them, because if you're building for those, maybe that you're using some aggression cards to compound that.
Well, you want the stat
damage.
buffs, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's why. I think that's probably why they did aggression initially, because you have cards like combat training. There might be some other things we don't know about that can help kick in. And there's also one of the aggression cards that that we're going to go into that synergizes really well with her.
Well, what I really was surprised to see too is the Jane Foster version of Thor. This is the Padme of the pack here. Little Natalie Portman action for stuff that's coming in the MCU. For those that are excited for the next Thor movie, what is it? Love and Thunder? Is it?
I think that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got it. Nailed it. All right. This is a 4-cost ally, which here at Bad Publicity, we always scratch our heads at 4-cost allies at first, and we say, "Woof."
Ooh, well, what are we getting for this?
What do we get for this?
Now, real quick before you keep going, she's Asgardian and an Avenger, so there is some Avenger discounts. Take it away.
Yeah. Avengers discount, so you'll be able to slash and roll back prices like a Walmart here. Okay, so you are getting pretty much a 1-for-1 on for what you pay for the health here. We have 1 thwart, 2 attack, and this is a response. So that's good that you're getting value right away on the response, because it's after you play Thor from your hand, deal 2 damage to the villain. All right. 3 if you paid for it with a physical.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, you pay for, if you think about it, you pay for, if there's no one blocking you, you pay the 4 using a physical resource, you deal 3 to the villain, and she swings for 2. So you put 5 damage on it, and you still have 3 potentially to block on the backswing. Or you could swing a more, and then she's 8 damage out. She can eventually put out 11 damage effectively on best case scenario.
Yeah, and so I will say too that this is an ally that I can get behind. And if I had some kind of graphics department or some kind of budget for graphics, we would put the Jameson stamp of approval. Yeah.
I think she fits really well in the aggression pie, I guess. She seems like a cool aggression ally. She puts damage out when she comes through. She sticks and stays for a while. She can keep hammering out damage. She has the option of the thwart, which doesn't do it well, but she gives you that in your toolkit. But she's also got health, the soak damage on the backswing. She seems solid. I think she's a good all-around ally.
I think she's that. This tagline at the bottom here is super strange to me, but we can move on.
Yeah.
All right, so getting into this next card here, I'll set it up a bit. And I was talking to Corey in the pre-roll of this show. If you are not excited about WASP, I don't know why, but if you are not excited about WASP, this is the card, and I think we both agree that you're pretty much buying the pack here for this card. I think this is a great card to have, and especially coming from, maybe it's a spoiler for another show, but coming from one of our favorite hero packs, which is the Black Widow pack. So the preparation here, just mwah.
Yeah.
All right. Oh,
we get more prep. We get more preparation cards. That's great. So,
aggression, yeah. Black Widow, love it. Corey, what is this doing for me now that
so
other than appeasing to, for some reason, all the Moon Knight stuff?
On the Moon Knight, yeah, that's right. You got Moon Knight on the artwork. It's line weight, 1 cost upgrade, preparation, max 1 per player, hero response, attack. After a minion engages you, you discard line weight to deal 3 damage to that minion. Which, in aggression builds, I'm a huge fan of this because you hate being bogged down. Sometimes if you build like a very focused, like I want to do large chunks of damage to the main villain, I want to get these chumps out of my face. Or what if you hate if like a tough villain flips down in front of you, or not a tough, but a guard flips down in front of you? Line weight can help you clear out those pesky guard minions, like, put some early damage on it. Someone else can pick them off and get them out of your way. I think it's a really cool utility card. It kind of gives you the benefits of Hawkeye, of the Hawkeye ally, without having to play with the super expensive Hawkeye ally that you don't want to do anything with because you don't want to die before you can use all those counters.
Jeez.
So, yeah. I like it. I'm a huge fan of this card. I think it's really sweet.
Yeah, really, really big fan. Again, if you are playing Aggression Wasp, because if that's what this turns out to be, this one also you can see dealing 3 damage to minions. It's great. Like Corey said, some of these other aggression build heroes, you're drawing up, you're getting the perfect huge strike combo ready to go, and then all of a sudden you get a minion, maybe even a beefier one, engaged with you, and you got to do something about it. At least this one here can lay some.
Even if you think about like, sorry, I don't want to detour too much, but even if you think about like some of the people who do like the aggression Iron Man builds, you get this down early. This helps protect you while you're working on getting your armor pieces, because like a cheap minion throws in front of you, you just kill it with lion weight, clear it out of the way. You can still focus on making sure you get your suit built and go. Like, it works as a good way to buy time, also while you're doing other stuff. Like, it's just a really good utility card.
Heck yeah. Really, really awesome card. Probably one of the aspect cards I'm probably most excited about that's coming. I can't wait to get my hands on this one here. And I'm not even that crazy of an aggression player. I'm not aggressive by nature.
Yeah. He gets hyped over an aggression card.
Jeez, what is this coming to?
Yeah. All right, so there's a weird break. We're going to have a neutral, and then we go to another aggression card. But we'll do the neutral real fast.
You can't do too much aggression all at once. This is not that kind of show, man.
You got to tone it down.
Yeah.
So,
ring the bell. Get a break in the aggressive action.
Mm-hmm. You want me to take it?
Yeah.
Cool. So this is an event we mentioned earlier, Swarm Tactics. 1 cost neutral event. It does have the mental science resource. Tactic, team up. So it's one of the team up cards. And to reiterate what the team up mechanic means, that you can only play it if the board state sees both of these characters in play. And this needs Ant-Man and Wasp. Now this can work if like you're playing the Wasp hero and another person's playing the Ant-Man hero, or if I'm playing Wasp and I have the Ant-Man ally in play, or someone else has an Ant-Man ally in play, meets the requirement of being able to play Swarm Tactics. They did state that you're kind of going to have these pairs in the decks as allies. So it'll give you a way to play it if someone's not playing that hero. But you'll see why it's a little limited like this, because the effect is great. So as a hero action for 1 resource, you change to your other hero form, and then ready your hero. So if I'm in Tiny, I take my action, do what I want, play this card, switch to Giant, and then reset and ready my hero, and I can do another like swing or whatever. A 1-cost like reset with no like setup, triggers, anything like that is a strong ability to have, let alone giving you an extra hero form change. That's a lot of value you're getting for 1 resource cost in a resource. Plus, it's one that she can recycle. So yeah, I think it's a sweet card.
Even if you don't even have to play it like that resource from hand, right? Like there's nothing on this card that's telling you have to spend a specific resource. So if you have something down in your tableau in your slot that's generating a resource with some tokens on it, burn something there.
I mean, I don't know if you covered, but it sounded like you mentioned it, but even it's the idea, because it has that resource symbol on it, you can, even if you don't have, like if you're playing and you have Ant-Man in your deck, you can just use this to pay for stuff and then just keep putting it back in your deck on when you go to your alter ego form while you're waiting on Ant-Man to show up.
This is definitely one of the cards that you're going to be recurring off, because the hero ability swing that you're going to get on is just incredible. Really, that's the reason why there's a max 1 per deck. That's the reason why it's going to work so well in the WASP, because you're going to be able to cycle this back because of the type of resource that we have here. You are getting one of these on the Ant-Man side too. It was noted by FFG. It just wasn't released in the
article
in the article sets. So I think that's cool, incredible, right? Getting that free change. How many times have you wanted to double hero action with any other hero act, right? And now having that variety that you have, wherever you are set up, or if you draw this card, that you can, do your flip, do whatever you need to do, and then you can do this to flip back. You'll be able to work various combos and adjust the board state, but whew.
Yeah. It's cool. It gives you a lot of versatility for really low cost.
What's your thoughts on this whole though the team up aspect with it, like these packs where they're trying to build the synergy between 2 heroes? Corey, as a soloist.
As a soloist. So I think it's cool. I think it's thematic, because like Ant-Man and Wasp, Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch is the other 2 heroes that are coming in the cycle that are going to have a team mechanic. So spoiler, even though it's been announced since Gen Con.
You gotta tag that stuff ahead of time, man.
Yeah, but I think it's cool, it adds theme, because those are characters that you kind of think of together a lot anyway. This mechanic too, I think, also opens up other potential, like kind of like pairing cards, maybe even like team affiliation type things. Who knows what they can do? But utilizing this is pretty sweet. But the fact that they also trigger off your allies gives you some cool things to play with. And so for like Ant-Man, Wasp is in his signature 15. So you're good. You're always going to have an option to have a Wasp come into play in your deck. And this is a one of anyway. So why not play it? It lines up.
Did you explain team up? Like, you can't play this card unless both of those cards are in play.
Correct.
Right.
So they have to both be out.
You have to have Ant-Man and you have to have a Wasp, and they can either be, allies or the actual hero themselves. So boom, 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 out go the lights.
Yeah, I think it's fine. So we have one more card to go over. This is the final aggression card that they popped up into the pack.
Surprise!
How convenient.
One more. You said that there was. If you didn't say that there was another card left, I was gonna
jump in there.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Surprise!
Sorry, I spoiled it.
Surprise!
So yeah, surprise attack is a 1-cost event attack.
You suck with segues.
Sorry, man. Sorry.
It's supposed to be a veteran at this.
Well, cancel the stream. We'll come back. Sorry.
Redo.
All right. So this is a hero response attack. After you change form, deal 3 damage to an enemy, 4 damage instead if you paid for this card using a strength resource. 1 cost for 4 damage potentially is a great rate.
This is ridiculous.
So this card seems excellent. You just do it after you change form. Weird. If only Wasp had many different forms you could change into. Oh yeah, she does. So So she's got 2 different hero forms that can meet this trigger. I think it's a really sweet card. It works really well on WASP. I think it just works really well in aggression builds anyway, because you change back to hero. You shift in and just swing like real hard at something in front of you for dropping that strength resource and hit for 4. So,
what do you think about using it outside of these form changing heroes, though?
I mean, it could still be good. I think I would see like She-Hulk decks liking this because She-Hulk jumps back and forth between alter ego and hero quite often. It's like a cool thing in her play style.
That's true. That she is one of the exceptions to the rules that you're not really camping in
hero form all the time.
Yeah.
So I think like she would really like this card. Maybe the more traditional, but even so, you have to do it after you change form. But if you think about heroes that like swing heavy and then have to always stop and rest up, it gives you like a cool like get back in. And if you don't use it that way or you don't play it, it's still a strength resource symbol, so it can help pay and trigger a bunch of your other cards, because that synergy mechanic and aggression that wants you to use strength resources to trigger other abilities. It kind of covers itself. If you meet the requirement and you can pay for it and get the big swing off of it, awesome. If you can't, it'll help meet the requirements of other trigger abilities on other cards in your deck. So, I'm a fan.
Yeah. I mean, an interesting comment here, I'll throw it out from Christopher in chat. He just says, one of the only problems of having this cool kind of team up ability is that you're waiting a month between. And yeah, I have to agree too, because I am not a patient person when it comes to this kind of stuff. Especially when spoilers are released and everything's cool, and I think the same way, right? Like, I'm just like, give it to me, I want to play with it. But yeah, I guess if we have to wait, we have to wait. I mean, as long as it is so close and we don't get any kind of delays between these, right? But it's
waiting's part of the game, man. Imagine everyone who wanted to watch the Black Widow movie in May.
Dude,
what I'm saying. What's it like?
I'm no Axl Rose. You're no Slash. We have no patience here, and I'm not even gonna whistle that.
So it's just how it is, man. It's just how it is. But yeah, I get it. I understand. But at least they're back-to-back releases, so the wait's minimized. So you don't have to wait too long in order to be able to partner up. And if you want to do the hero, you'll still have the ability to play it in your deck because, again, of the ally mechanic. But to get like the teams to be able to build at the table, yeah, I get it.
I am really excited for WASP. Out of the two, she sings to me more than Ant-Man, like I said. Let me know which one you're excited for the most in this team-up combo. Throw some comments down below so we can engage in discussions. Let me know your thoughts on some of these cards. Love to hear what you guys think, especially some of those standalone aggression aspect cards and how you're going to use them in other packs, and what you think the optimal WASP pairing per aspect is going to be. I love hearing what you guys think, especially from an impressions perspective. When we don't have the cards and we can't see the whole thing, I love this kind of theory casting. I love making an opinion and seeing if I'm right or getting proven wrong. So thank you so much for joining us in here. Corey, any kind of last minute closing thoughts on your impressions of this one? Are you Ant-Man or are you Wasp? Are you Team Ant or Team Wasp?
So I'm Team Ant all the way, but that's more my style.
I guess that's why we live together, right?
I will echo though that I do enjoy the discussion, especially like the interaction, and I love reading the feedback and everything from people in the video. So definitely drop your opinions, what you think's gonna be really cool with this character, what you're wanting to try out, and what cards have you most excited. It is true, because I've even had moments on Heroes that I initially looked at the impression of the article and I was kind of like, meh. But then as we talk through it, it's really opened up, and you uncover new ways to play it, or it starts to make more sense as you discuss it with other people. So that's something I really enjoy about doing these. But yeah, and other than that, thanks again for listening. Thanks for listening to two guys talk about a card game on the internet.
Touche. I have nothing to add to that. What is this? I was trying to put a cool emoji in the chat, and I don't think it's working. What's this? I thought it was a dab, but it says elbow coughing.
All right, and that's how we're gonna wrap it up. That's great.
Or maybe you got this. Yeah. All right, guys, hey, we really appreciate when you guys jump on and when you hang out here and when you gauge us in the chats live. I think that's the fun of what we do here. We have the discussion. We look at it as like almost like a little call-in. Hey, Chris has got to stick together, and we rock the WASP. Team WASP. # Team WASP. I don't know why FFG doesn't jump on that stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure Marvel already has this taken.
# Team WASP.
Or maybe the band has it already covered in their Twitter account.
Yeah. Guys, thank you very much for joining us live. Like I was saying, we really appreciate the discussions. We like to look at this as not just our kind of discussion hours, but it's your time to kind of come in, say what you want to say, get involved in the discussions, and we're gonna rock this. Looking forward to Scarlet Witch. Looking forward to Quicksilver, and then we will catch you next Tuesday.
That's right. Thanks again. If you made it this far, you're the real heroes.
See you guys. Appreciate it all. 46:35.